had to get rid of him because he wanted us from the land.
Uh-huh.
And the people support us over a person that's an imposter because they recognize the difference immediately because of some shit called sincerity.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? Now, this was around 83 when they murdered him. Who's in the White House in 83?
83 is Reagan.
Ronald motherfucking Wilson Reagan. When Reagan was in
Yeah.
office, Reagan wasn't running the country after his assassination attempt. Bush was running everything after that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's
That's
right.
why Reaganomics started off galvanizing the economy,
Uh-huh.
right? And then it became voodoo economics when Bush tried to he introduced a massive amount of narcotics into the community
Uh-huh.
to suck the wealth back out fast as it go in.
Uh-huh.
The side effect is it produced Big Meech. It produced motherfucking Freeway Ricky Ross.
That's right. Go ahead.
It produced Harriet, right? And we learned how to come up from nothing using the poisons that they was pushing us down our throat.
Hey,
So
keep talking.
once
I'm
Big
taking a
Meech
leak.
get into the money, now he don't have to do shit. He can switch over and become legitimate. Because in the boys in the hood, it's always hard. Come talking that trash, we'll pull your card. Want nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote Easy E because I ain't said shit. And so this is what the whole struggle is to keep all of the chiefs on the land, no matter where you find them, whether it's Maurice Bishop in Grenada, whether it's motherfucking Chief Malik Angel Bay in Chicago, whether it's Big Tookie or Black Panther on the West Coast, it doesn't matter. Wherever one of us at that is starting to make the necessary connections to move these people off the land, they murder them. They murdered Maurice Bishop. They murdered Malcolm X. They murdered Noble Drew Ali. They murdered Medgar Evers. They just kept murdering us. They murdered Clan 13X. They murdered almost all the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar family. The only reason he didn't get murdered because he wasn't home, doing the same fucking dirt, the same people. So the ones that's behind it now, they had hits on various different people that had to be removed out of the picture. So Maurice Bishop is for us a chief cult figure.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody that we can teach our sons that this is how a man move in politics.
I'm going to study this guy. Sure.
Yeah. You could pull up one of his speeches on YouTube. He wasn't for no games. They got some short ones too. But Maurice Bishop ties me back to a guy named Tony Martin. Remember Tony Martin?
Tony Martin. So, and they ain't sound familiar. Tony Martin. Tony
You
Martin.
remember the Jewish onslaught, right?
No.
Pull up Jewish onslaught. So back in the like 97, um, Tony Martin was trying to use the secret relationship between blacks and Jews to teach a class in his college classroom. And the Jewish Defense League came out against him, and it's the Jewish onslaught,
On.
ONSLAUGHT,
Spell that last part again.
ONSL. There you go.
Okay. Damn. Tony Martin.
Right there on the right, yeah, Tony Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now right under that, you see the blue one in the middle
Yep.
under him. Click that. This is the reverse side of the book. I don't know if you'll be able to read it, but it tells you what the book is about.
Yeah.
So when he never felt any pressure like he did from the Jewish onslaught, and he was talking about how he didn't know nobody else that could have this kind of power that could affect his life this way, right? Now the Jews he talking about are the Zionist Jewish Moors that just running the show. Okay, so one of the speakers that he had come in one time was Maurice Bishop. Yeah, I think you muted, Elder.
Okay, yeah, we got it right here.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's the Jewish onslaught. That's the book he wrote, telling about the struggle he was going through. The irony of it is the same. It feels the same as what Malcolm described when he said to Alex Haley, "I don't think the Nation of Islam behind this because I trained them guys and I know what they do. This is not them."
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, now the description that he gives, it feel the same energy is coming off of these people that he's talking about in this book.
Yeah.
All right, now, Maurice Bishop and Tony Martin end up trying to make some connections with some of the organizations here for support. Everybody was scared.
Damn. They get, hey, so these black Jews, like you said, they don't play no games. They got everybody spooked out. Like everybody, like, oh, I don't want to mess with them guys. Them guys, they dirty. They don't play by the rules.
Right. So then the same people that killed Clarence, that murdered Clarence 13X.
Man, come on now. You going in. Now go ahead.
Okay, so they caught him in Harlem and shot him in the middle of the night. Thought that, nobody didn't know who did it.
Yeah.
Right? But we know who did it.
These same niggas, man.
We know who did it down to the trigger man because it's in the files. It's just not made public. The same way as Malcolm X assassination was caught on live news feed. Most people don't know that. It was a whole press section in an Audubon ballroom recording for TV when Malcolm was taking the stage when they shot him, and they got the whole thing on camera, and the FBI seized all of the footage.
Yeah.
Why would they do that and blame two innocent men out of the three of having something to do with it? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
Right? They protect their own. One of them was a loyalist to Elijah. The other two wasn't. And if they was trying to get Malcolm was running a red herring. The red herring is when you run the distraction to draw the heat off your guy. That's why he made that statement in the autobiography that I lay my life down for this man, and he didn't say it in the past tense. He said it in the present tense at the time he was talking to Alex.
What man was he talking about?
Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Elijah Muhammad discovered what Noble Jew Ali carried as the secret. He came over from the Moorish Science Temple in the early days of the Nation of Islam, right? And if you ain't been around, you won't never know who Brother Moon is. But Farrakhan always kept him close until he crossed over. Because he was the one who carried the motherfucking keys that's called the silver key. From the Moorish Science Temple to the Nation of Islam. The gold key came through the Prince Hall Lodge, and it came in off of the UNIA adaptation to W.E.B. Du Bois and collaborating to set up sororities and fraternities to pass the gold key. Right? The gold key is the solar magic, conjure keys. The keys to the conjure. If you don't know where to look, you can't find them.
So let me ask you this. So is this so it's going back to, like I said, it's a war between good witches and bad witches, or good wizards and bad wizards.
For the most part. Now, where is the story at that tell us about the Conjure War? It's in the King Tut story.
Okay.
And remember, in the King's Tut story, it was the priest of Amun, the unknown god, versus the priest of the Aten, the one who chooses to be known. What's the dispute? So they challenged them to a conjure war. All of the different dynasties had a master of the conjure war. Still there? Can you hear me, Elder? Your microphone on mute.
Trust, which is the difference between being in the public trust and your strong man and being within the private. Let's say, for instance, if you were with the mosque or the NOI, you know what I mean? You would have the protection of those groups of people. So if you could expound on that and then the difference between the OOR and the UUR, please.
Well, the UUR was Amaru. It was AMUURU. The Amaru is the tribal designation that they trying to say is the same as a MOOR more. They not the same, right? When you look at the Moors, they try to get anything with an M and an R in it out of history and say, see, we was ancient Moors here. And the word be something like Mirafaka. That's not Moor, you know. Like the, for instance, a good one is the Kemetic term mir. The Kemetic, they say this is the Moors, the mir. Well, you motherfuckers is some spaceships. Because that's what a flying apparatus is, a mir in Kemetic. It's the same thing in Hebrew. A mir is a ship, a plane, a flying apparatus. That's not the same thing. Then they try to use that as the dogmatic influence. Remember, Albert Pike issued the righteous the challenge between morals and dogma. Was you going to pursue the moral path or the dogmatic pursuit? Let's go back to a little history lesson. Let's go back to when the Moorish um, Temple of Science, a civics organization, was formed. When the Moorish civics organization was formed, it was formed to give us a tribe in the public domain in a system that they had no jurisdiction over. But somebody inside of the lodges signed some kind of a contract that made you become a U.S. national more. If you look on the back of your nationality card, it's gonna say that this Moor is a U.S. national. That's a contradictory idea in and of itself, in that the U.S. is a foreign corporation masquerading as a de jure agency of government, right? So who is these people? They come in the legal fashion, a barristers. Barrister, if you look it up, is a title of nobility. And in the barristers union, you have honorables and esquires in rank. Esquires are the ones who are practicing the arguments on the floor. The honorables is the ones who sit and referee the argument between the two opposing sides in order for the barristers to get done administering the estate. The estate is governed by the lords. The lords are the landlords, right? Lords is a title of nobility.
Yep.
These are what we call real estate tycoons. Those who own massive amounts of real estate, but they don't have a domicile. They don't have a direct home. They do that because they don't have the same arrangements in law when they are owners of the land as opposed to what we call domiciles on the land. So we talking about somebody that's walking around as a ghost versus somebody walking around in flesh and blood. We talking the difference in a Dred Scott 3/5 compromise Negro that got no rights that a white man, which is a free white person in law, which is a Moor, is bound to respect. The whole purpose of doing the paperwork is to activate the status as free white person in law that makes you above the jurisdiction of the authorized bar associations of King George III. King George III issued the first charter for barristers to come and administer the estates of the landlords in what they call commerce and enterprise in the New World. That's what they agreement was, or they commission was from King George. So they became the ones who argued contract. When they issue a warrant is an ongoing declaration of war. The U.S. Supreme Court already ruled that the people that look like us are not part of their system, and they are not part. They are ongoing enemy combatants. This been in the law since the law been over here from their system. They never overturned any of that. Dred Scott haven't been overturned. They still see us as 3/5 compromised Negroes. When we become 5/5 realized, then we understand that the key to America is on the face of the dollar bill, and the contractors is there on the face of the dollar bill, right? The United States Treasury and the Treasurer of the United States. Who in the fuck is these motherfuckers and where is they at? And how is they making contracts and don't nobody know that they made a contract?
Exactly.
Right? So
Right.
under the Fair Debt Collection Act nullifies, voids out all of the contracts for what we call non-disclosure in law. The non-disclosure is they never told you that they were an interim government that was operating to reestablish the original governments of the land. Instead, they went rogue and decided to establish their own government on our land under the pretense that we will never figure out who we are. We will always think that we Moors, and we'll never know that we was at odds with the Moors in order to establish this land over here as the original de jure occupants of the land. When you get to the history, it tells you clearly that the Moors used to auction off the POWs, and you can find that in a book called Moors and Freemasonry, where it's talking about the auctions and the different prices is the status of the ones being auctioned. All of that's in there, but they thinking that it means something else. That's slave. That's the slave block. Them motherfuckers, they was POWs, they was ransoming off, was us. They was selling us between themselves to do their bidding for them and to have children so they can kill us off and raise our kids and never know who they were. So now we don't know who he is. Our knowledge is took, a state of darkness, triple darkness, eternal death. And the only way to come back from it is to come back to life. Kill your straw man, your doppelganger, your imposter. Once you kill your imposter by asserting your 5/5 status in the public domain by public notice with no paperwork attached, because that's the trick. The barristers have it set up where anything that you file, driver's license, birth certificates, all of these adhesion contracts is designed, nationality cards. When you start signing this paperwork with these people, we already been infiltrated. So they designed to take you right back to the system.
Mm.
So the good question just came up. What about the American rights of the indigenous people? That's the I fucked you good note on the prostitute's dresser when the John is leaving.
Damn.
That's the I told you that all your shit belonged to me, but now I'm telling you I was just lying and I fucked you good. That's
So,
all it's saying. They just telling us what we already know, but they had to tell it to us because they're not gonna believe it coming from one of us.
and that's the problem. Don't nobody believe nothing we say. They if the Caucasian ain't said it, then it's not true. That's what's the
And
problem.
this is the reason why that's exists. Because the dirty Moors, blacker Moors and tawny Moors, use pale faces to block institutions to keep us from discovering what they doing.
Exactly. You got
And
that
this is what was keeping us from developing to 5/5 realization status is because they hijacked the lodges. They came in hostile, according to Noble Drew Ali, 32-degree Scottish Rite Red Lodge. That's the motherland. They infiltrated the motherland first. That means they sent some stinking riding coochie bitches up into the families'
Damn.
harems and fucked up the families. She came in acting like she believed in the sisterhood, and then she found the head sister and busted her in the head.
Mm.
And
So
then soon as the chief said something about it, she poisoned it with hemlock.
so now I'm hearing, like I said, I'm around everywhere.